BFM 89.9, good morning, I'm Nadia Hassan, bringing to you morning headlines. So if you happen to glance at the papers today, you would see a big fat furry face, and namely it's the pandas. Yep, that still has not died down. Basically every paper today carries a variation of this particular photo of this little cute little thing actually peeking out sadly from behind bars. Yes, it's the arrival of giant pandas Feng and Fua, who apparently, according to a lot of the papers, received a very big rock star welcome when they came. These are the signs, of course, or at least the evidence of increased diplomacy between China and Malaysia. Definitely a big thing given how big China is as a trading partner. But I wonder whether it warrants the actual two-page spread that you see in the front of the Star, ranging from everything from rockstar welcome to water cannon salute to the fact that they have 28 CCTV cameras watching them. 28 cameras! I mean, I don't think there are that many in my neighborhood, and you know, there's robberies around there. But seriously, what do you think they're going to do? And if you're waiting for them to procreate, ain't it a bit weird with that there are quite so many cameras around to be. But anyways, although the cage, as you can see from this photo, looks a bit small, I assume the enclosure will be a lot bigger, but still 28 CCTV cameras. But it ranges from everything from the history and how they got here, even to the Malaysian names that they're going to go. I have a very weird feeling we'll continue seeing this kind of interest, because they do actually go on to talk about how it's interesting in like the social media as well. So give it a few days, I'm sure, you know, there's going to be a lot more little bits and pieces. Probably the first time they bark, I think. And on to other news about things that are not black and white and big and furry. We are also talking on the more serious side, talking about how Malaysia Twins transformation programs have produced sound results. This is about talking about how it's moved up in the World Competitiveness ranking, 12th this year from 15th. As a result, according to this headline, rather bullish headline if you ask me, from NST, poised to attract capital and investments at an increasing rate. This is according to a Swiss-based institute survey of 60 economies. Definitely, it's something to pat yourself on the back for. It's good. You know, there have been strides made on this, but there's still too many questions. I think people who see this ranking will also question, yes, competitiveness is great. What's your methodology behind picking competitiveness? I mean, there's always a lot of doubts and question marks over corruption and leakages. I think before Malaysia needs to move up anymore, these are definitely some of the questions that need to be answered. Of course, on top of it, the big furry panda from another angle, not quite so much behind the bars. The other interesting thing is actually the bilateral talks between Malaysia and Japan. So PM Najib went to meet his counterpart Shinzo Abe. So they were talking a lot about increasing ties between the two of them. I mean, Malaysia and Japan's always had a very, very good relationship all the way back from Ade, and now they're just talking about cementing it some more. We hope that this will actually translate into investment, because usually in these kind of things, it's all very happy, huggy, let's hold hands and take nice pictures. Hopefully there's something comes out of it. The more interesting one is that Abe is pitching a Shinkansen, or a bullet train, for the KL-Singapore connection. There's supposed to be a high-speed train going down from KL to Singapore, saying about 90 minutes to take it down there, and they're looking at Shinkansen technology. Now, if you've ever ridden one, like which I have, they're fantastic, they're smooth, they're fast, they run on time, but they are expensive. So it makes you wonder how much of this is going to come true. But you know what, regardless, interesting little piece to look on to. Going on to things such as the water rationing, finally. So on with it is the big screaming headline from The Sun right above this other furry panda. And it says that Selangor is to be in control of water industry by year's end. Let's not forget the three main guys, Sabah, Splash and Puncak, who are basically involved in the stalemate putting up with between the Fed and state government. What's going to happen is there's been a deadlock. Nobody can seem to agree on how much the assets are going to be worth. So what they're going to do, they're going to do a two-pronged process. They're going to go ahead with the guys who already have agreed, and then they're going to slowly negotiate. So if anything, it makes some kind of movement, and you hope that this happens before another water rationing, more tempers get frayed, and not only that, industries get very, very annoyed with it, because you can't run a business when there's intermittent kind of disruptions, especially when it's not done in an orderly manner. So that's one good way of looking at it. I want to point out this little news in the corner of The Sun talking about father beats daughter to death for copying. It didn't really happen here. It happened in Beijing. So basically, an 11-year-old girl was assaulted by her dad because she copied at school. He ordered her to kneel down, tied her hands, and then choked her, which is a very, very sad state of offense. I mean, you know, it's talking about punishment of child abuse going way too far. It caused outrage, and it very well should. You know, one hopes he's charged. That actually segues into the very nice little bit of the huge headline of the Malay Mail. Basically, teachers in trouble over assault claims. There are a couple of assault claims that have cropped up, according to this story. So a parent apparently on May 12th had confronted a teacher because he found marks on his boy. And the teacher confessed that he had caned him, but then recanted a bit later. Then there's this other one, 3 days later. Basically, a primary school from SK Rahang in Seremban claimed he was slapped 8 times with a plastic file for no reason and then called racist slurs. I mean, it's not only are you physically assaulting him, you're verbally assaulting him. The boy claimed that Richard had even pressed his wristwatch against the boy's forehead to stop him crying. Of course, this is one side of it. You have to hear it. But there was apparently also talk that the teacher had told the parents it was no big deal and not to kind of press charges, no doubt protecting their own interests. But this is a very, very kind of worrying state of affairs. It's definitely not the way to go. I mean, the education system in Malaysia already has so many question marks, and this kind of news just makes things any worse. I don't think it even encourages children to do better. It just encourages them to basically run away and go to a private school. Going on to the more political side of things. Okay, Sina Harian has this little banner on the top talking about aura rambut putih, or what do you call it, white hair aura. That's our word of the day, aura. Halo. Basically, he's saying that, you know, although Diana Sofia, who's received a lot of attention, whether heavy-handed or not, for how young and how pretty she is, as opposed to, hey, what exactly are her policies? That's something to think about. Basically, her opponent, Datuk Ma Siew Keong, says that, you know, to fight back on this kind of battle of the faces, he says, you know what? Although she's young and pretty, I still look pretty okay. That's exactly what he says. I'm not making it up. It has come down to this. It's come down to basically a beauty contest as to why, you know, who looks better on a cover. I mean, isn't this detracting from the real kind of issues you have to ask now that it's come down to, hey, I look pretty good, what's next? Are you going to be like Korea where the prettier people actually get ahead? It's very true. A lot of people go for plastic surgery for that. Talking about politics, there's this little sidebar in the Star talking about how Parti Cita Malaysia candidate Datuk Huang Cheng Guan was actually ridiculed on social media because he had questioned the sexual leanings of his rival in the Bukit Gelogo by-election, DAP's Ramkarpal Singh. So according to the suggestions, apparently to use a baseball metaphor, he thought Ram sort of swung from the other side of the baseball plate, so to talk about, because he had basically questioned, saying that there were photographs of muscular men posted on his Facebook profile page. I think he only liked like Men's Health or something like that. Is not an indication of it. But then he's fought back and says, look, I have proof. If you have proof, I made the accusation. Sue me. He said everybody, especially Pakatan Rakyat, should stop linking me to the accusation. He wants to make it clear he never called him gay. But it's interesting how this actually sort of cropped up. We finish as always with our favorite Harian Metro. Today, nothing that salacious, but something a bit more businesslike, actually, funnily, about haram, talking about this false datuk who actually swindled about 100,000 from people giving false halal certificates for businesses. And it's something that I hope the authorities look into because, you know, it's actually quite detrimental for the smaller guys, probably not the bigger guys, but guys who have forked out for this, so it's something to follow up. And they also have a nice little picture of the pandas just to finish up. That's it for today. I'm Nadia Hassan for BFM 89.9 and this has been your Morning Headlines.